Loving Me. APH presents a homegrown video. Billy Brookshire. As Billy talks, scenes from the workshop appear on the screen.
Loving Me is a workbook or a guidebook for workshop creators. I designed it for folks who want to do workshops on self-esteem, who work with all kinds of folks. I aimed it primarily at a blind audience because I just felt there was a need there for folks who did workshops in the blindness field. I want students to do these activities with the idea in mind of exploring their self-esteem, at looking at who they are, at being comfortable talking about who they are, and maybe carrying on the search. Workshops usually are just ways to create curiosity. And once you've got curiosity, then you'll expand beyond that, look beyond that, and look more into yourself and ways of exploring who you are and what works for you. For parents, it's essentially the same thing. When parents and others attend the workshops with kids or students, they do the activities along with everybody else, because self-esteem is a journey that doesn't stop just when you're not a child anymore. It's a lifelong journey, so it's the same for everybody. We're all learning those lessons. We're all learning about self-esteem. We're all growing. We're all evolving, and we will throughout life till death.
Loving Me workshop. As Billy conducts the workshop, the camera captures Billy and participants as they respond to his questions.
All right, wild applause. Yes. Yes. Thanks. Doesn't that feel good? Feels good for everybody, right? Yeah. We're going to talk about self-esteem today, so you guys ready to talk about self-esteem? Sure. How many of you have some? Okay. Well, that's almost everybody. And everybody else thinks, oh, I hope he doesn't call on me. So, is your self-esteem high or is it low? We got one high person right over here. But let's have some fun today. So maybe that'd be one of our ground rules, have some fun. Fair enough?
Sharing activity. Participants listen as Billy introduces the sharing activity. Annie shares with the group.
This is not going to be talking in front of groups. We're going to do this one-on-one. You're going to need to do this with a friend. What I'd like you to do is to get around and meet some different people, because we're going to do several rounds, probably about 6 rounds of this next activity. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to share something different with every group. So you find somebody, then you share your thing with them, and then I'll call time, and I'll tell you how I'm going to do that. Then you move on to somebody else and share something with them, but we'll pause in between each one. Does that make sense, kind of? Okay, here's one that everybody enjoys. I want you to find somebody and introduce yourself again, because part of the idea behind this is to get to know folks, and share this with them. Share one nickname you've had. One nickname you've had. Go.
Mine's Annabelle.
I got you.
I think I lost. I got my nickname Annabelle because one of my teachers called me it one day, and it just stuck me since then.
So Annabelle it is.
Or she calls me Trouble.
Trouble works too, Eddie, I'll bet.
Hey!
Fairfax activity. Workshop participants listen and move about the room as Billy explains the activity.
This is a kind of a self-select activity. I'm going to help you with it. Okay, and up here at the front of the room, I'd like all of the people who like to be around other folks and like to share feelings, who like really being around people and sharing feelings. I'd like all those people up here at the front. Okay. All right. This is a good-looking group. Now let's see. I'm going to start with the group in front here, I think. That might be the easiest. Okay, group in front. I want you to think whether you're a loud person or a quiet person. I'd like the loud persons To my left, it'll be to your right, to move over to the right, and the quiet person's to move over to the other side. Okay, group in the back, I want you to do the same thing. Loud folks, I'd like you over closest to the door that we came in at, and quiet folks over here on the other side.
Billy on Bare Facts. The camera moves from Billy to the participants as he describes the different types of communication styles.
Bare Facts is a communication activity. It divides folks into 4 groups, depending on how they communicate, basically. The 4 groups are the honey bears, who are very easygoing and non-assertive, but very people-oriented. Then there are the dancing bears, who are also very people-oriented, but a little more assertive, a little bit more loquacious, a little more talkative. And the grizzly bears. The grizzly bears are very assertive, but not very people-oriented. They tend more to facts and figures, and tend to talk in a powerful kind of way. Tend to be very goal-oriented. And then the last group I call the polar bears. The polar bears are calm, cool, collected. They're less assertive. They are more at home in the world of facts and figures than with people. But it takes kind of all, the truth is that all 4 of those types of personalities are in all of us. It's that we access one more than we do other. One works more for us than another. And so the whole idea is to get people communicating, to look at how they communicate. An exercise that goes along with it is to get people to communicate with their exact opposite. So they have to access that, the grizzly bear has to access that part of them that's a honey bear. And to do so, they have to look at how they communicate, and communicate in a different vernacular, because honey bears and grizzly bears don't talk in the same way or have the same goals, for that matter. And the honey bears have to do the same thing. They have to talk in grizzly language and describe what it is they want from the grizzly bear in a language that the grizzly bear will understand. Otherwise, they won't understand. They won't get what they need.
Bare Facts activity. The viewer sees Billy as he talks, and the participants as they listen and then engage in the activity.
All right, let's start with this group back here in this corner. And you guys are not the folks who like to be around people a lot, right? All right, this group here, louder folks, and they don't necessarily, you do like people, right? It's just that you don't choose to be around a whole lot of people all the time and share feelings and stuff like that, okay? All right, this group here, these are the grizzly bears. Their style, they're good leaders. They're good at setting goals. They're very independent. They like to be in charge. They're usually good at sports. How's that sound so far? This is how they talk. It's power style. I call it power style. They like folks who speak with confidence, who get right to the point, and who can tell them how the information is going to help them reach goals. Yeah. These are the honey bears. Okay, let's talk about the honey bears. What's their style? Warm, good listeners, easy to get along with, friendly, caring, helpful. How do honey bears talk? I call it caring style. They talk quietly and friendly. You can make points with them by asking about their friends or family members, and they like to have input into decisions that affect them. Does that sound okay? Grizzlies, here's what I want you to do. You've got a friend who's a honey bear, and you've offended this friend very deeply, and your job is to ask forgiveness for offending your honey friend.
Oh, no. Yeah, we were good friends, and I just wanted to know if you would just accept my apology. And us just
okay. She's convinced me.
Okay, Beth. Before I interrupt, any more you want to say?
I guess not. I done lost my train of thought, so I guess not.
Okay, thanks, Beth. You did a good job.
And I'm not really sorry.
All right. Now, Beth, come back. Okay, now let's talk to the honeys. Does the shoe fit, honeys?
Yep.
Did you understand everything Beth had to say? So she was very clear. Did she speak in a language you understand?
She did, except I just wanted to hear a little more about how she felt.
Dancers. Exciting style. They like folks who speak with excitement in their voices, and they like folks who invite them to play. Okay, polars. You've got a friend, and you've heard that this friend's been talking behind your back and telling lies about you. And that friend happens to be a dancer. Your job is to confront that friend about these stories that you've been hearing.
Guess what I heard? Do you know what I heard? I can't believe that this is going on, but guess what I heard?
What?
Well, I'll tell you what I heard. I heard that there's some rumors going on about me, you know? And can you believe it? And guess what they are? I mean, it's unbelievable. Somebody's going around saying that I'm using my computer in an inappropriate manner. Can you believe that?
Really?
They're saying that they are saying that I'm using it for home use. Home use. Can you believe? I can't believe
If
it.
they say you're using it as for home use, how come I've seen a bunch of math problems on the screen?
I don't know.
Teacher Cheryl Harrington.
I really enjoyed doing the bear activity where each student had to go into individual groups after they decided what bear they were belonging to. And I was really impressed that my students knew which bear they were, and I really agreed with what they were saying. And the description of the bears and how they would voice themselves were really accurate. They were accurate on that.
17-year-old student Samantha Sanders.
The bear facts activity was so humorous. Like, you got to see, he used different types of bears, and I was a grizzly, which he was like, if you're 100% this, then what do you say? You're a weird person or something like that. And I was like, well, I guess that's me, because I'm probably 98% of this. And it just it showed you different ways to talk to people. Like, he told you which one was your opposite, which we had the honey bears, and he told you how they communicated. And it opened your eyes to how to communicate to someone, that if you needed to get something done, it's probably easier to get it done if you did it in a way that they could understand. The honey bears like to talk about their feelings, and they like to be calm and nice, and they're not loud people. So you have to come to them and tell them, hey, I was really upset and I'm very sorry, and you just have to tell them how you feel. And the whole activity just showed you how to communicate with people and how you are yourself.
Billy on Values Path activity. The viewer watches various participants interacting as Billy describes the Values Path activity.
Values Path is an activity that's a non-threatening kind of activity, or a non-threatening environment that allows people just to talk about their values. The activity itself has an agree and a disagree end, and I just make a value statement, a controversial statement, and ask people to stand somewhere on the line between agree and disagree according to how much that value is true for them or not true, as the case may be. Then I go along the line and talk with each one along the line to find out exactly why they chose the place they wanted to stand. I tried a lot of other values activities, and the problem with them is that I can talk all day to people about values, but you don't really get any movement that way. But if you ask people to make a choice and you ask them to move their bodies to that choice, they're already making a statement physically, and for some reason or other that makes it easier for them to talk about it. Plus, the information comes from them and not from me. It comes from wherever they're working on that situation or that value or those beliefs.
Values Path activity. The viewer watches and listens as Billy and participants engage in the activity, moving about as they choose their position. Teacher Kenny Jones shares his beliefs about the value statement.
And just briefly, before we start this activity, you guys know what values are?
Yeah. No. Yes.
What are they exactly? Anybody want to try to describe it?
Things that are important to you.
Yeah, the word value, right? Things that you value. Nicely said, Tyrone. So, value is something that's valuable to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to know something else. Values are just information. It's information you get places. You get it from all over the place. You tend to hold on to the stuff that you really trust. It might come from friends or family or Somebody mentioned the church. It might come from your minister, or it might come from other fellowships. Exactly. It might come from some place you trust, and because you trust it, it becomes your value. That makes sense, Kyle? Sandy, say yo.
Yo.
All right, Sandy is agree. I'm going to read a statement. If you agree with it, stand closest to Sandy. Okay. Janie, say yo.
Yo.
Okay, Janie's disagree. If you disagree with this statement, stand closest to Janie. And think of there being an imaginary line between Sandy and Janie. You can stand anywhere on that line you want to based on the statement. Okay? Okay, first statement. It's okay to be blind.
Well,
Kenny.
probably at one time I might have said it, but probably I should have belonged at that other end. But over time, I've grown to realize, and it could not have been said in a better way, that blindness is only one characteristic, and just with just learning skills to just do what everybody else does with normal vision or whatever thing that they may have is put in front of them to overcome those. That is what it takes in order to be successful, just development of skills.
Thanks, Kenny.
Laura and Samantha on Values Path.
The values activity to me was one of the best things we did today. When we asked people if they agreed or disagreed, we watched half of the people walk from one side of the room to the other in answer to the question. And then people got to speak their piece about why they felt that way.
What I got out of the Values Path activity was I got to hear different points. He asked us different questions, like, do you think it's all right to be blind? Do you feel uncomfortable around certain sight people? Like, how do you feel? He just asked us questions and we got to share our opinions. You went to your separate side of the room, you either agreed or you disagreed, and then you asked certain people. And you heard so many different points, and it was just great because it opened your mind and you just heard different people.
Billy on Self-Esteem. We watch as Billy talks and conducts the workshop, and we see various scenes of Billy and participants engaging in workshop activities like handshaking and defining personal space.
If you look at self-esteem, one of the people I follow a whole lot is a guy named Robert Reisner. And Reisner said there are 5 elements to self-esteem. The first one is the identity one. He calls that selfhood. The second is something he calls security. Actually, security probably comes before selfhood from the standpoint that unless you feel safe, you're not really interested in self-esteem. You've got to have that feeling of safety, but you've also got to be secure in who you are and where you're going, secure in your family, secure in your culture. Then he looks at 3 things that I never really thought of related to self-esteem. One's called affiliation, how do you get along with people? Another is mission, how do you set goals? What's your purpose in life? And the last one is competence. It's okay to have all that stuff, but if you're not a competent human being, if you can't do what it takes to get along in life, if you can't do laundry, if you can't cook for yourself, if you can't find somebody to do those things for you, or if you can't get around transportation-wise, then still self-esteem is elusive. You need to be competent as well as being secure, having a good sense of self, having a good sense of purpose, and getting along with people well.
Laura and Samantha Sanders.
The most beneficial area that I felt was basically the best was learning how to advocate for yourself. I think that pulling a group of people together made everybody's opinion count. Today, I think everybody walked away knowing that there are ways to make your point and ask people for help.
I think the workshop activities would be good for other students because they get to speak their mind, they get to speak up, and sometimes people don't always listen to them. And just letting someone listen to you sometimes is all you need.
Billy. We see a mother and a daughter, a teacher, and other workshop participants as they listen to Billy.
I think families who do this together and get more out of it than anybody, because they talk about things that they don't ordinarily talk about at home. They talk about themselves. Parents a lot of times are not comfortable doing that around their kids, and therefore the kids don't learn how to explore self-image either. So when families do it together, it's just a powerful, powerful workshop. Folks get lots from the experience. It's the same with teachers, I think. Teachers and pros, same thing. We work these jobs in human resources day in and day out, and we have our little set role that we step into, and we're expected to do that. And we find it hard to get to the stuff that's more personal, to share those kinds of things.
17-year-old student Samantha Sanders.
I think people should attend the workshop, students and parents, because I went with my mom, and my mom, she's not me. She doesn't get to feel what I feel. She's not visually impaired. I'm one of the first people in my family that was visually impaired, and people that aren't, they don't understand what you need. They don't understand what you feel, and sometimes they get in your space, and you need your independence. You need to feel like you can do it on your own, and you can ask for help when you need it. And the Loving Me workshop opened my mom's eyes and opened my eyes as well, because I understood that I wasn't the only one out there. I wasn't the only one feeling how I feel every day. And it just kind of brought some closure and made you feel like you could do it, that you were confident, and that you needed to have that self-esteem because you were just as good as anybody else.
To purchase Loving Me, a guide to creating and presenting workshops on self-esteem, or for more information, please contact the American Printing House for the Blind, 1-800-223-1839, www.aph.org. Starring Billy Brookshire. Thanks to workshop participants Brittany Bates, Reed Benford, Frankie Buckman, Anna Collin, Carol Domke, Mitch Domke, Tanya Gatton, Cheryl Harrington, Beth Hope, Samantha Hubbard, Carrie Isham, Annie Johnson, Kenny Jones, Garrett Kawa, Elaine Kitchell, Aaron Linson, Sarah Meredith, Tyrone Parker, Ronnie Patrick, Christine Pitzer, Aaron Reed, Laura Sanders, Samantha Sanders, Mike Sell, Jim Sine, Dwight Taylor, Terry Turlaw, Jane Thompson, Monica Turner. Thanks to Derek Cox and the Charles McDowell Center. Advisors: Janie Blum, Scott Blum, Bob Brasher, Maria Delgado, Will Evans. Special Advisor: Monica Turner. Producer: Sandy Baker. Video editing and production: Bissig Impact Group. Special thanks to Billy Brookshire, Loving Me author and workshop facilitator. Filmed on location at the Charles McDowell Center, Louisville, Kentucky.